man on a mission, listen while you're wishing life away, you only get one.
Hello guys, it's Unders. Today we're on production blog number 3, I think. Yeah, probably 3. The main thing I'm trying to do today is the Trigga Ride EP, the hip hop tracks you've heard me working on these videos for the last, I don't know, 6 months or so. We've narrowed it down to the tracks we want. I'm gonna go ahead and master those. Ideally, I'd normally send things out to a mastering engineer. We just don't have the budget to do it, so I'm going to do it myself, get them the absolute best that I can. I've had to master stuff in the past and managed to get okay results, so we're going to roll ahead with that. So I just thought I'd talk to you guys real briefly about what the process of mastering is, or at least what it means to me. So for me, mastering nowadays is getting your final mix to a level and point where it translates really well across multiple systems. So it used to be mastering for a Redbook audio CD would be getting the file to 16-bit, getting it to 44.1 kilohertz, making sure it hit the Redbook standard for CD. That's not where most music goes, certainly not in my case anyway. We're aimed more at streaming services, SoundCloud, Apple Music, MP3 downloads, that sort of thing. So it's getting it to the best quality that I can, and then making sure that when it comes down to MP3, when it goes to a streaming service, it's not distorting and it translates well to earbud headphones. Being played on the phone, so some to mono as well, needs to be checked. And that the MP3 is not distorting, we're not getting things like when you go down in quality, you reduce your bit depth, meaning if you've got a peak that comes right up near 0, it's going to lose some information and it might have to sum then above 0. And you get into sample clipping then, you need to make sure that's taken care of for when you go from the WAV files down to MP3. Just looking after those bits. Also, in the case of an EP, it's getting a coherent sound. So getting all of these tracks so they sound like they are one project and they all sit together. They're all going to be around the same level. They're going to have that same sort of tonality and sort of feel, because each track has its own feel, but you want them to flow together and feel like they're part of one thing as a whole. So as I go through and master these, I'll probably record a couple of little things that I'm doing just to show you what's going on. And that will probably be today's production vlog, because that is going to take me most of the day to get done. So let's get into that, guys. Mostly it's going to be screen cap from now. Boom.
Hello. So here we are inside Logic. Now, I've done the mastering. I did an intro video. I did my work. Didn't time-lapse it, didn't record it. I just need to focus and get the job done. And I've not had to do too much because, well, they're my mixes and I knew where I wanted them to go. But there are some things that I've had to fix up and change. In the guys that I've been going, I've been using that slick EQ from Tokyo Dawn a lot. I think that's on every track but one. I've used that loads in this. I've also used FabFilter Pro Q in linear phase mode because I've done some mid-side adjustments with a couple of areas. If you don't know why I've used linear phase, there is a video on why I use linear phase in mastering, especially when you're doing mid-side or separate channel processing, because it screws up your phase. Simple. I'm just going to show you what I've done on some of the tracks, and you know what, you can hear some bits of the EP and what we've done, and hopefully you'll enjoy that. If not, don't worry about it. See you on the next video. What we're going to do is just start with the first track, which oddly enough I've been playing with the order. That's why the bottom track is currently first at the moment. So I'm trying to get a good idea for how the EP is going to flow and feel. Sort of going in this direction, might switch it, but that's where we're at the moment. So track 1, ironically track 6, that is this throwback tune. You've probably heard bits before if you've been watching my videos. Here we go.
Check. Yeah. Feel unstoppable, you can't stop me from gonna move that properly.
Yeah, so that's that tune. Let's grab a little chunk of it here. Nothing is tempo sync, so we might get some dodgy cuts and fades and bits going on, but we'll live with it. So you can see the bounce down was peaking at like 6 decibels originally, and that's, you know, that for me that's normally a good mix. That's where I tend to work around. This track's the one I've done the most processing on overall, and it's mainly just to fix a couple of things up. Have a look in here. I've just cut it top and bottom. We're way over. We're 22 kilohertz here. That is now moving around wildly. That's irritating. You were on 24. Thank you. And that's just creating a little bit of a shell around the track. It's taking those frequencies away. It's giving focus to the audio that's really audible. These are going to go on streaming sites. I know I'm going to lose the really high top end on streaming sites, even going down to 320. So I just wanted it to be a nice focused track, not going to give me any problems. I've done that on most of them. And on this track, there was some low end that was sort of, I don't want to say phase cancel or anything, but not as focused. So I just put this on the sides and I've rolled it off on the side, so it's just there in the mids. I've pretty much ended up copying this EQ across them, but adjusting it slightly. I'll show you some of the others we've done as well. We go into Slick EQ. I've ended up dipping the kick drum out a fair chunk, about 2 decibels. The rest of it is really minimal what I've done. Just a half a decibel boost up at 2K right around the vocals, just to bring those out a little bit. I'll show you what I mean about taking the kick out here. It's quite a big difference. So we'll have this off so it's as it once was.
Getting the drink, schools, lemon and lime. I ain't a baller, but I'm doing okay. Came a long way from back in the day when we used to sip chaps.
Yeah, so the kick's properly in your face, which is quite nice, but then when you cut it out a little bit, just that couple of decibels, the whole track becomes more focused, so I've decided to roll with that.
Getting the drink, schools, lemon and lime. I ain't a baller, but I'm doing okay. Came a long way from back in the day when we used to.
And I've used the like tilt harshness focus thing here, just drop that by about 1/2, and that's, you can see what it's doing slightly. It's boosting up here and then dipping a bit more around here. That's what's working for me on that currently. And then on the multiband, on the hook on this track, the vocal was just popping out just a little bit too much for me. So I've got this here in side mode, and it's just, pardon me, in mono, sorry. No, in side mode, sorry. So I've got this here in side mode, and it's taking the sides down, which are blocking out the vocals a little bit on the hook. If we skip ahead, I think it's about here.
It's all legit, still in the bits, vocals still sounding crystal. A lot of MCs tracks ain't talk slow, never made no, don't see me, I'm laid back. Came roll, kill it with a bird.
I can't see what the hook is without all my markers.
I ain't clashing, no care, the one mashed up. I ain't a hero, remain in the game. I mean, I was on road, man, we're making a cream. I mean, you was in your mum's house still.
It's just taking the sides down a little bit to leave the middle vocal popping out a little bit there. What do we got next? Solid bass, so I've just compressed it a touch. I think it's hitting about 2 decibels.
I'm still getting lean. I mean, I was just like.
If we take that off, it's a bit not glued together, it's a bit sporadic.
Just like I done, you was just like a fiend. I mean, you just act like you're bad, you ain't part of the team. Lost a few friends and a couple of acquaintances. Remember those days we were sat in the beta rooms? Now it's all legal, it's all legit. Still in the.
Yeah, so it just gives it that glue, and then I've just used the I've actually used the vintage limiter on all of them, but I've had it in modern mode for this particular one. -4 decibels, character we set around 2. I just slide this up and down and listen to what I like for that particular track. That's where I ended up stopping. And if we have a look on here, by the way, I just explained, I've got the gain plugin on here just so I can really quickly switch mono on and off when I'm monitoring on headphones and on my speakers, just to check I've got clarity there and it's going to translate to other things. I've aimed for -14 LUFS, and this looks like it's peaking around -13.9.
Still in the bits, vocals still sounding crystal. A lot of MCs tracks ain't sounding mixed. It's all good, it's all gravy though, and they ain't getting played on the radio. Still act like they're big and they made it though. They ain't made a penny, so a lot of Freddy's sports hard. They ain't got bars, all they do.
I will live with that currently. That's sitting alright. So for the other tracks, I've gone down mainly and done the similar thing. So this is the next one. This is the Not Staying the Same remix. There we go. Okay, so on here, on the sides, I was getting a bit of like muffling going on with the vocal, so I've pulled that down just a little bit, and then I've put this mono and just given a slight boost to the vocals there. We kill these two. You can probably hear quite a difference when you bring it into the vocal.
You can run that and bid for too much for it to ever be a comeback. I built it from the ground up and laid the foundation. More than blood, sweat and tears on this pavement I've taken. My heart thumps for it.
Yeah, it just gives so much more clarity to the vocal there. And slick EQ again. Well, we got a tiny little adjustment down here in, well, I say down here, just taking out a decibel and a half boost there, and less than a decibel shelf on the low end. Curve looking like this. And then again, we've got a limiter, and that's all I've done for that. See, character difference 4.3 here, so that's where I landed, making that sound nice. And 2.4 to bring it to around the 14 LUFS marker. And pretty happy with how that's
But how they feeling, and end up fucking you the only one that bring the rhythm.
Man on a Mission, which is going to be the like big feature track. Super happy with that, how that's come out. I didn't need to do too much, but I have taken out the kick drum again by half a decibel. Or maybe not. No, we've lowered it down instead. Somewhere I've adjusted the kick drum on it. Perhaps I did it at a different point. Oh yeah, and I had some S issues going on around the start of the track. So I've just used the dynamic EQ just to be grabbing those.
Pedal to the floor, yes, war on
Yeah,
pedal. Man on a mission, listen, why you wish your life away, you only get one chance at it, so why you trying to hide?
That's grabbing those nicely. If I take it off and just go back a little bit, it's a little bit harsh. And notice that's only on the mids, it's not affecting the sides.
Pedal to the floor, yes, war on pedal. Man on a mission, listen, why you wish your life away, you only get one chance at it, so why you trying to...
Yeah, big difference without it, really quite harsh.
Pedal to the floor, yes, war on pedal. Man on a mission, listen, why you wish your life away, you only get one chance at it, so why you trying to hide it?
Sweet, and that's mainly the sort of things I've been having to do, just minor little corrections and bringing everything up so it sits around, there we go, the 13.9. I was aiming for a minus 14 LUFS, but hey, minus 13.9, I'm going to live with it, let's be honest. Bringing it down any lower is just not really going to benefit me. Nothing's peaking, nothing's been slammed into a limiter, nothing's being compressed too hard, so I'm happy with all of that. That's all I've been doing, just getting things to sound correct. You'll notice a lot of them have got fades in as well. I tend to, when I export the track, give it a little bit at the start as well in Logic, because it tends to end up doing this. Look, where it goes right to the point, and it's, oh, where did we go? It's such a small amount. Where the hell are we? At the start, even though I give it like a half a bar to come in. So I tend to just put fades in that are really super short and super quick, just to make sure we don't get any pops and clicks in that like first bit there. So you'll notice that on most of these here, where it's been necessary. They show a lot larger than they actually are. They're actually like tiny few samples just to ramp us in and out, just to make sure there's no pops and clicks. And I'm playing around with the order. That is essentially what we've got, and what the EP is going to be. I'm pretty damn happy with it. This is a track that none of you would have heard yet. It's a super dark, like bassy type thing.
Yeah, okay. Think things about it's about to get peak. Ain't trying to get deep or weep on the beat. Everything's steep, ain't even unique. Everyone's
real different vibe there, taking away from like the classic hip hop sound, really grimy. It builds up into a lot of like distorted, really bass sounds. Hey, you can have a listen to it when it comes out. Rent, you would have heard at some point.
Gonna face a charge, bars behind your place, and when it comes to getting.
And then we've got Not Staying the Same instrumental, which is also going to be released with the EP, so anyone can grab it. And you've got the hook at the start.
Done that. Fuck all that state.
And then you've got the beat that you can go do your own vocals to if you want. So that's how I've been getting on with that. That is today's sort of thing. I'm sorry there's not been any real tutorials. I'm just showing you what I do to get to that final sort of stage where I get everything out and sounding the same and balanced. Hopefully, we're going to get some more work done today, and we'll get some more content in for you guys.
So you guys have just seen sort of the like inside of the EP mastering process that I've been going through, and I just thought I'd chat a little bit more about that. I mean, the rest of the day I'm going to be recording on here, so it's not really something that I can show you. We're not doing any production or anything today, just guys are recording to get done. So I thought we'd just have a little chat about the mastering process and why I'm doing it. Now, I don't profess to be a mastering engineer in any respect of the word, and like this setup here, this is not an ideal mastering area at all. I mean, my room's not treated, but I use room correction, and I spend maybe 30 to 40 hours a week in this room, so I know how to mix and get my work done to a decent standard in it. But a big part of mastering is getting rid of problems, or finding a problem that may occur in another situation, which is why you saw I was taking low end out on the sides, for example, where we might get phase cancellation when it sums down to mono, and I was summing stuff down to mono, as well as the intersample peaks that I explained. So when you go from your wave file and you sum that down to, like, Apple Music, for example, streams at 225 kilohertz per second. Now, that is going to reduce your sample rate. If you've got something that's just coming near that top of your bit depth, your bit depth, coming into the top of your bit depth, when that's been reduced down, you have to either sum above or below that. And if on that trajectory it would sum above, you're going to get an intersample clip when it goes down to a lower thing. So you need to look at things like that. So I've just bounced everything out as waves and as MP3s, so I can just check to make sure I've got everything on point as it should be. Even when you put a limiter in place, that can then happen because you're summing that file and that limiter, and you can still get intersample clips happening there. Maybe that's something I can show you actually. We'll have a look in a second. If so, cut here.
Alright, so here's an example of one of the things we need to be looking at and monitoring. Now, I'm not going to play any audio here because I've used a copyrighted track to show this example, okay? What I've taken is Plastic World from Pendulum's Hold Your Colour. I think I bought this 14 years ago, something ridiculous. It's still one of my favourite albums. However, it was mastered for CD, and this is a convert of the CD to WAV file, okay? So equally, it was peak loudness wars, and this track absolutely slams on the volumes. So currently Spotify's target LUF is around the -14 mark. I think it's -14 to -16. Might have been dropped recently. I don't remember in the article exactly how much it went to, but that was sort of your target range, to be around that area, so that all music on the platform sort of sits nicely in playlists. It all feels around the same level, and anything above that, Spotify drops down, so you lose your dynamics. If we have a look here and I play this is obviously one of the loudest parts of the Pendulum track, you can have a look at the true peaks. It's clipping way over the zero, partly because of the conversion, but digitally it stops bang on minus 0.1 dBFS. But then the true peak, the conversion to analog, overshoots by like half a decibel to a decibel. You can see that. So the true peak meter is here. That shows us the overshoot. And then the LUFS meter is here. I want you to have a look at the LUFS meter. Bear in mind I've set the yellow bar at the -14 target range. So you see we've got -6.6 integrated LUFS. So that's mid-and-side information is integrated LUFS. Way overshooting as well on true peaks. Now this was fine for going on CD and being played out, but if you were to take this file as it is, put it straight onto Spotify, you are going to run into peak issues. You're going to have the music reduced in volume. It's just not how the game's played now. Now my master, you can obviously see it's a lot more dynamic. It's still peaking up at 0 in places, but the difference is going to be paramount. Let's make sure we've got this muted. We're going to reset the LUFS meter and reset the true peaks. There you go. So if anything, I'm a little bit quiet. I could go a little bit harder on this and push it up a bit more. I've got around a decibel range on the true peak meter. I've got around half of a LUFS value, if you will. It's peaking at 14.4, somewhere around that region. But that's going to be great for translating this wave into MP3 files. I'm not going to have any problems and any issues. And me personally, as not being a mastering engineer, that's what I'm going to aim for. That would be the best solution scenario for myself, based on the kit I have and how I can meter this and check it out. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Let's move on.
And yeah, you're sort of correcting errors. If you want to know where I got some of my information from, I was lucky enough 10 years ago now to be taught by the guy who mixed some of Jamiroquai's tracks. He mixed Cosmic Girl, for example, and he taught me a little bit about the mastering stage and the mastering that happened for that particular track. I've been lucky enough to sit in on sessions with Mike Cave, who's mastered multi-platinum tracks here in the UK. He's based in Liverpool. And a friend of mine, Stu, who runs SES Studios, it's just a mastering studio. He mastered my album, some of the projects before that as well. In fact, Trigga Ryder wise, he mastered Heavyweight, which is the first track me and Trigga worked together on. And he's taught me a few things as well. And I like going through Stu because I know all of the problems get resolved, as well as he runs it through analog kit, something I don't have access to. I'm 99% digital at the moment while I'm running in this space. Obviously I've got the keyboard and bits behind me and a couple of mics, but outboard wise it's just not a thing, so I have to mix it and master it completely digitally when I'm doing it myself. And I like to have a second pair of ears to listen over something, because they might hear something that I'm not hearing, and it's always a good way to go about it. That's my 2 cents on mastering for this particular project. That's what I've had to do. Hopefully you guys have listened to it and gone, yeah, that sounds decent, I'm still hitting the standard. And that's all we really want out of it. I will see you next week for the production vlog. We're going to try and do those every Saturday. And just you guys who are producing on Logic, from August 1st, daily Logic tutorials. Stay tuned for those. Thank you very much, guys. See you on the next one. Bye.